Yeah, this is Jules from the Mind, and we're going to interview a writer today, or author, and her name, I'll let her tell her name. What's your name, ma'am?
Adeola Little.
I got a little. Okay, I'm glad to have you here. And
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
yes, I'm excited about your book, and we're going to get to talking about your book, but I want to talk a little bit about you and let you tell your backstory
Okay.
to even before coming an author, because I don't really think that writers just born writers. They have a life before they even become writers, or there's certain things that inspire them to write, good or bad.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I,
that's
I
true.
and I really want to let people hear some things about you and let you tell your story. Um, what type of background did you come from? What was your early years like on the earth?
Um, my early years were I was with my mother and father. They were married and they were older parents. My mom had me when she was 31,
Okay.
and my father was 41. And my father was an artist. He was a self-employed photographer, and he was a great photographer. He received a lot of awards for his photography. He was very independent, though, and wanted to do his own thing. He didn't want to work for
Mhm.
someone else. And my mother was the daughter of Robert Madison, who is um, the first black architect to own his own firm in Cleveland.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, she came from that, and she was a very high official in housing company in PMI. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of that, or Fannie Mae. So
Mhm.
she was up in the ranks in corporate America. Um, so we lived in Washington D.C. I grew up in the urban area of Washington D.C. for my first until I was 2. Then we moved to Northeast, and I went to public schools. But the reason I brought up the differences in between my mother and father was because those differences started to grow, and I guess they had kind of different outlooks on me and how I should be raised. So my mom wanted me to go to private schools because she wanted me to have like the best opportunities in life, and I think my father
Mhm.
more so wanted me to, be grounded
Yeah.
and stay around black people. So my mom won, and I ended up going to private schools, and we eventually moved to a pretty much all white area. And but yeah, I had a great childhood growing up. I spent a lot of time with my parents. My parents spent so much time with me. They were like really, really great parents.
Well,
They, but
what type of books did you have around the house? Around the house.
well, my parents made sure I had a lot of books with black girls in it. Like I had so many books with black girls in them.
Oh wow.
Ruby Bridges, Wild Sunflower Child, Anna, Eva Gemma. Those are just some of the titles that I had growing up.
Were those the
I also
books
had
that your father bought? Because you said that he was.
No, my mother was, most of them were on board on that. It's just in terms of education
Oh,
and where we
the
live.
actual the brick and mortar school aspect of it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
But my mom was definitely very dedicated to providing me with, images of black people in my literature. And my parents used to go to they used to travel around the country and get these books by black authors and have them
Mm.
signed and like wait in lines and stuff to have them signed for me. So like a lot of my childhood books are actually signed by the authors, and just growing up and having the books and seeing that it was dedicated to me, I think that made a big impact on me.
Yeah.
And I just never felt inferior due to my skin color like a lot of my counterparts. As I'm growing up, I'm seeing that the whole light skin, dark skin thing is a big thing. I never really noticed that or felt that. Not because I did go to private school and white people don't really talk about that stuff. But
Yeah.
just seeing, I always saw myself in books, and I saw myself as beautiful. My parents always told me that I was beautiful, so I think that I really am grateful to them for that. Extremely grateful because I wouldn't be the person I am today if they didn't do everything they did to make sure that I had those positive images at a young age.
So you was
In
an
media.
avid reader. You was an avid reader. What about, were
Yes,
you
I
writing
love
any
to read.
stories, or were you trying to write any poems, or you mostly was reading at that time period? Did you like to create stories, or you mostly was a reader and lover of stories and seeing your
I
stories?
love to read, definitely. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
used to read all the time because I was growing up. I have two older half-brothers, but they didn't live with me. They were so much older than me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was pretty much by myself. So I used to read all the time. But I did write stories. I used to write a lot of stories about best friends. And I did write stories. Anyway,
Did you
so
did
yeah,
you
both.
journal anytime when you was younger?
I did. I used to always journal when I was like mad at my
Do you
parents.
still have them? Do you still have your journals, or you?
I do actually. I do
Oh
have some of
wow.
my journals. My mom is like, bless her heart, she saved like all my stuff. Like she saved my journals, my pictures, everything that I did when I was little. So yeah, I do have some of that stuff still.
Wow. Well, do you go through them from time to time, or you haven't looked in them in a
I
long time?
do. I go through them from time to time, and it's funny because some of the wisdom that I had when I was younger is still relevant. Like when I look through my things, I was like, put God first. You
Yeah.
know, don't love anyone who doesn't love you, and just different things that I was like
Right.
younger, but
Do you
you know,
think there's seeds, there's some books in those journals to some future books, maybe?
I don't know. I haven't never thought about that actually. That's a good question. Maybe for my next book,
Yeah.
I'll draw inspiration from some of those things.
If you were just to take a wild guess, how many journals do you that you have that you were able to get access to that you still have that from your younger days?
Um, that I still have. No, see, that's the problem because I like to get rid of things. I think I
Oh,
have about two, but I definitely had more.
oh wow. So
But I
you
think I still have two. I have a lot of pictures that I drew though, but
okay?
I don't know if I have a lot of like actual book journals.
Oh, you say a lot of pictures,
Mhm.
and when you look at
I have
those
a lot of my
pictures,
art.
when you look at those pictures, do they bring memories back to your mind that if you were to write a memoir, that they would help you, spark
Yeah,
memories?
they really do bring them memories back. Actually, they really do.
Mm-hmm. Sound like to me
Yeah.
we got a few memoirs in the wait.
Yeah, you're giving me some ideas. Thank
Yeah.
you. I always think about that though because I feel like there's so many things that have happened in my life that I would like to record. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's been a lot of things that have gone on.
Right. So now, what was your middle school and high school years like? How was that as far as um the literature aspect? Um, did you participate in the extracurricular activity like cheerleading or debate teams, anything like that?
Well, middle school, like junior high school, I went back to a black high school,
Mm-hmm.
so that was an adjustment for me coming from the white school. It was really good though. It was fun. I made a lot of friends. I just remember like I got introduced to a lot of like curse words and different things that I didn't know about when I first got there, and I
Yeah.
always had felt like I had to be like, I don't know, I felt like I had to act like I knew what they were talking about and what was
Yeah.
going on, but at the same time I didn't want to get in trouble.
But let me ask you
So
this:
I
since you were
mhm.
away from the black school for a little while and gone to the white school, when you came back, did you stick out like a sore thumb, or what people say, well, she ain't hip to the hip talk? What you had to,
No,
or you
actually
able to
they just
adjust?
welcomed me. They like welcomed me and they liked me.
Oh wow.
So it was it was cool.
What was the
Yeah.
what was the what? How did your parents come to agreement now at this point to have you come back, and they still went at variance on which school they want to
I
have you to?
honestly think it might have been motivated by financial situations because the
Okay.
private school that I was going
Oh,
to was
okay.
like $16,000 a year.
Ooh.
So yeah, my mom, my mom actually got laid off of her job,
Okay.
and I think it had something to do with racism as well.
Okay.
So that was part of the motivation for me going to a public school.
Yeah.
But in high school, the public school that I went to was actually um, a really, really good school. It was an academic high school, and you had to apply to get in there. So it was both of the schools that they chose, even though they were public, they were really, really good.
Yeah. So tell me about this. Well, so you moved on to college to Spelman in Atlanta. What was that
Mhm.
like? How did you enjoy that? And what was your
I
experience
loved
there at
it.
Spelman? Tell me about that.
it was it was like a dream come true, and
Hmm.
I think that my college experience kind of like tainted the way I see life because I thought life was going to be like that,
Yeah.
and now I'm like, wow, adulthood is a serious thing. But going to Spelman was so fun because I went with my best friend from high school, Taylor. If you're listening to this, Taylor,
Hmm.
me and Taylor were best friends in high school, and we went to the same college. So that was, good because I already had like a best friend. We met a lot of other um, wonderful young ladies, and we had a little group of friends. And Spelman is so special because they really, really encourage sisterhood. Like they have so many rituals and things that we did when we first got there that encouraged us to form close sisterhood. And they don't even allow you to go off of campus for like the first 2 weeks, and they don't allow you to like interact with any
Oh.
boys or anything
Mm.
for the first 2 weeks because they really want you to develop sisterhood before you start talking to boys and doing all this
Okay.
other stuff.
Mhm.
So it was really fun. I majored in psychology, and I think that has definitely shaped me in the way I look at the world and what I focus on and things like that. Um, the partying life was really fun, to be honest.
I got
Um,
you.
it was just really a great experience. Like I really, really enjoyed it. I'm so glad I went there rather than some of the other schools that I applied to.
And then at some point you got some devastating news about your father that passed. Right.
Yeah, like everything was going well, and
Hmm.
then in my junior year, um, I was actually home from school, and I was staying with my father, and everything was fine. And then I went out to eat with my current husband, who was my then boyfriend,
Hmm.
and we were eating, and my father called me, and I think I was like 19, and I'm not sure if I ignored his call or if I just missed it. I think I may have just actually missed the call, but I didn't call him back immediately because I was like, I'm out with my boyfriend. And then, like, maybe like 10 minutes later or something, one of my other good friends called me and was like, you need to go to the hospital. Your dad is in the hospital. So I went to
Mm.
the hospital, and he was in the bed. He was, like, chained down, but he was, like, trying to get up. He was just, I don't even know what the word, writhing, I guess would be a word to describe what he was doing. And I just had a feeling in my heart, like, I just know he's going to die. And it
Wow.
was just really sad. But yeah, a few days later they told me that he died. So it was from a
Mm.
stroke. I don't know. I'm not sure if it was a stroke or a heart attack, but
Yeah.
it was just that was really hard for me because me and my father were really close. He was so nice. Like he never yelled at me. I mean, he was just really, really, really a nice father and a really good friend. And he always took me out. And looking back, like I always see a lot of things telling fathers, you need to take your daughters out so they'll know how to be treated and stuff. And my father made me into someone, a woman that has like really high standards, and it's kind of funny because he just like he always used to take me out, and he always used to tell me that I was just the greatest person in the world. And I know that now, that's not true. There's lots of great people in the world, but he really gave me a lot of confidence, and you know, we spent a lot of time together because he worked for himself. So I could basically be with him, and we could be with his other photographer friends. And I saw him do a lot of shoots, and I saw how dedicated he was to his art. And I saw also how he refused to compromise his goals for this, financial gain because he could have
Okay.
worked at a
Hmm.
company, but he chose to, do his dreams. So basically, to answer your question, that sent me, his death sent me into kind of a downward spiral
I got you. Okay.
of drugs and alcohol.
Yes. Okay.
And eventually I got into a car accident that it could have been deadly. Like I was drunk and I was driving on the highway. Well, it wasn't the highway, but it was like maybe a route or some type of interstate. But I was going about 50 miles an hour. And I was texting on my phone because I was like trying to make sure I was going to have something for later. And I just crashed into a gate. And it was at that moment. Before this, I was kind of, like, I believed in God maybe, but before this, I didn't believe in heaven or hell. I just thought, you know, I don't know what I thought. But when I saw myself driving at, like, you know, full speed towards this gate, I really thought, I was like, oh my God. I just prayed. I was like, God, please don't let me go to hell. You know, please let me go to heaven. And I believed in it at that moment. And I crashed through the gate, and nothing happened to me
So
except
you
my
mean to tell
glass was
me why
shattered.
this was as you were going toward this gate, right?
Mhm.
It was all you could. It was like in slow motion. I mean, it wasn't
Yes,
it wasn't
it
like
was like
fast
slow
speed. It
motion.
wasn't like a speeding bullet. You could actually think through. It was like
Yes,
you could.
that's a great way to put it. It was like slow
I'm like
motion.
when
I
you
never
talk
thought
about
of it
going
like
toward
that
a gate,
before.
I'm like you doing a lot of thinking. You was actually able to
Yeah,
like slow down. Like I'm like, okay, tell me
yeah,
about that because
that's
that's
so funny. You make it
yeah.
a lot of thinking. No, because it was like it wasn't even a silver gate, like the little thin gate. It was like
Yeah.
a black, thick gate. I can't
Mm-hmm.
even, it was high. You know what I'm talking about? Saying?
Man,
Like a metal gate.
doing a lot of visualizing in a short period of time.
Yeah,
So
I can remember.
mm-hmm.
Because, okay, so what happened was I was driving about 50 miles an hour, and then I just slammed on the brakes, and then my car kind of lost control. So I wasn't driving anymore at this point. I was
Oh,
just
okay. So
basically along for the ride.
okay. You just in for the ride, watching things like
And I was just stunned. So I was just like, oh. And then I definitely remember, that was something that really stuck out in my mind, that I was like,
like you
oh.
was looking at a movie of yourself.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I can't, you know, I don't know what's going to happen. So I was just like, please let me go to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
So I crashed through the gate. Like, I went completely through the gate. But nothing happened except my glass was shattered. So the police came, and then I prayed again that they didn't, you know, breathalyze me and take me to jail. So one police officer, he was literally coming towards me with the breathalyzer test, which I would have definitely failed. And then all of a sudden, this other police officer came to him and just told him to go away. And so that one came over and talked to me. He never said anything about, are you drinking or anything, and he just did a report, and I just left. And I went to the
Let me ask
hospital.
you something running through my mind about that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you saw this police coming towards you with the breathalyzer
Mm-hmm.
thing, and then the other guy came and took him another direction,
Mm-hmm.
did did you ever play that back in your mind and say, okay, now this didn't happen arbitrarily. That didn't happen. Was that a sign to you, or did you just say,
Yes,
okay?
that's how I took it. I took it as a sign that, okay, you know, I'm giving you this chance,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to, first of all, you need to, when you go back to all your friends, you need to tell them that, you know, this was basically a miracle, and you need to change your life. So I remember when I went back to my friends, I kept being like, you know, I kept praying. I was trying to tell them that, you know, God had answered my prayer, and I felt it in that moment. And everyone was just like, wow, you're so lucky, or whatever. And I don't really know if they understood what I was trying to say.
Yes.
But I definitely felt
So you would say
that.
that's a transition point in your life, a big transition.
Yeah,
Now,
definitely.
so what happened? Now, did you went to Ghana? Tell me about that, and how did
I
that
went
come
to
about?
Ghana
What's
before
the deal
this,
with that?
before the car accident.
Okay.
But when I was in Ghana, wait, I think it was, I don't remember. Yeah, it's definitely before.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was, okay, so my mom noticed that I was really depressed after my dad died.
Mm-hmm.
So she said I could come home from school for a semester, and then she paid for me to go to Ghana on a trip with Morehouse. So it was mostly Morehouse boys and me and like two other girls. But it was an amazing trip. And it just allowed me to slow down and get out of the fast life, so to speak. And I spent a lot of time in nature, and just seeing all the nature.
What was your when you first was coming to when you what was your first impression of being home?
When I first went to Ghana?
Yes. And what was that like?
My first impression. I think I was with the group, so my first impression was just like, okay, this is cool, this is fun. Because I was like kind of in a little bubble of safety, so it wasn't like I had to really live the same way that they did.
Mm-hmm.
But I just remember the streets were very popping. Like, it was so many people in the street. People were like always walking up and down, even the highway, like selling things, selling water. And that's in my book too. But they used to sell water out of little like plastic bags. Like, it would be like a little Ziploc bag or something full of water. And then you would just bite a hole in the bottom and drink it, like, because I guess they didn't have bottles to make water with.
Yeah.
But it was just very vibrant culture. I loved the food. They did a lot of stuff with us on this trip, like going to well, not a lot, but one time we went to like a spiritual, I don't know exactly what you would call this person, but they did some type of ritual where they were supposedly trying to read our future. And I remember that caused a lot of controversy in the group because a lot of people were like Christians and they were like, I don't do this kind of stuff. But yeah, it was a good trip. I just remember
Were the people friendly
the
and were they hospitable and
Yeah, they were. Like, now you're bringing back another memory. So Ghana is split between Christians and Muslims, and everyone was really friendly. But I just remember when we went to the Muslim city, it was called Tamale. I just noticed that it was like drastically cleaner than the other places that we went to. It was like way cleaner. Like, it was calmer. It was neat. It wasn't like a bunch of action going on. So we met some little girls there, and I have some pictures with them. And that was kind of like actually my first time being in a Muslim environment, actually.
Yeah. So were you saying there was a big difference?
Subconsciously.
Yeah, consciously. What about as far as the music and the dancing and the way of worship versus a Muslim way of doing service? What was the big difference you saw there?
Well, I didn't really see that much difference in the culture between the Muslims and the non-Muslims. Like especially African Muslims, they're very.
Well, what I mean maybe is the service, the way that when you go there, go to the service in a church.
Oh, I didn't go to the service there, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't go to any of their religious service.
Well, what was the thing that really said this something that might be want to look into more as far as the
well, that's why I said subconsciously, because when I was in Ghana, I wasn't thinking about becoming Muslim at all. But after the car accident, then so after that happened, I was still in a Christian mode, and I was I kept praying, for guidance, because I felt like there was something more that I needed to do in order to, show my gratitude. And it was crazy. Like, even I was just looking at the way I used to dress, and I was like, I told myself, I was like, I'm going to try to be a little more modest. But my idea of modest was just like, instead of wearing black, I would wear like light pink, or I would try to dress a little more conservative, but still cute. But a few days after, I don't know if it was a few days, it might have been a month. I really don't remember the time frame, but shortly after that, my high school boyfriend called me, who I was not with at the time at all, and we were actually like not speaking to each other. And he called me and just basically was like, told me about Islam, told me that he wanted to marry me, and I was skeptical at first about what he was saying. But I looked it up. Like, I never looked up Islam ever before. So I just looked it up on the internet, and I saw that, Muslims, they only worship God. And I was like relieved, because I feel like my whole life I always kind of felt like, I wish I could just find a religion that just worships God. It's nothing crazy about it. Or I don't mean to say crazy, because I don't want to disrespect anyone's religion.
Right.
But I didn't really connect with the idea that Jesus, my PCF on him was God, or he was the Son of God, or all of that. So when I found out, I thought Muslims worship Muhammad. So when I found
Right.
out that, they only worship God, I was like, okay, I'm interested in that. So then I started just reading different verses from the Quran and different hadiths, just like I felt like for me it was less of an intellect. It was half intellectual because I felt like, okay, they only worship God. That's what I want. Obviously, I believe that there's only one God, so I like that. But the other half of it, I felt like it was just a spiritual pull that was telling me that this is what you need to do right now, because I don't know, I just felt like this was the answer to my prayers, because I was looking for something more structured, more where I can actually show through my actions that I appreciate what God has done for me. So I felt like God had blessed me a lot by saving me from the accident, not getting me arrested. I had a job with Teach for America, not getting all of that ruined. And I felt like, this is something proper that I can do. I would be married. I wouldn't be just, immoral, because I believe that
Now,
everyone has.
Tell me about your teaching, because I'm curious about that. And that
Okay.
development. So how did that come about, and what's the deal with that?
So my major was psychology.
Okay.
So graduating from college with a psychology major, I didn't have plans to go to graduate school. So I really didn't know what I could do with my psychology degree. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what to do. So Teach for America was an option that a lot of people were using to take them in other directions, honestly.
Okay.
Like Teach for America is an organization, and they take people straight out of college, and they train them for about a month or two at the most. Then they put them in urban schools, and they are teachers. But if you only have to do it for 2 years, and after that, basically it's one of those things that looks good on your resume. So,
Okay.
like, a lot of my friends did it. They went on to do other things. Like, one of my friends works, she's the boss of community outreach at J.P. Morgan Chase. Another one of my friends is a counselor. Another one of my friends went into politics.
Mm-hmm.
So,
how was your experience?
it's a stepping stone.
How was your experience with the young people, and what was that? What was your task? I mean, what did you have to do, and what was the type of like you say, what was your experience as a teacher and your relationship with your students?
Mm-hmm. My experience as a teacher, it's overwhelming. Like, I think that my experience teaching is part of what motivates me to homeschool, because I know that teachers really can't. It's almost impossible for them to. Well, I wouldn't say it's impossible for them to teach, but it's really difficult to, be the one adult.
What was your experience in the classroom?
My experience was like, I mean, the students loved me. Like, they loved me. They just wanted, I think what they really wanted from me was nurturing and love.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I gave them. And I whenever I tried to teach, there would be, like, certain students who would just try to disrupt the class because maybe they didn't understand what was going on, or different things like that. But I kind of tried to look at it as a mentoring situation, especially in the school that I was at for just a month, because I went to one school
Mm-hmm.
it was a summer school. It was for the month. And at the end, I did a video of them, and I just asked them to share with me, like, all the good things about themselves. And I was just trying to build their self-esteem and just work with them like that. And they did, I was teaching math, and they did improve some in math. So that was good. Like, I liked working with the students. What I didn't like was the pressure from the organization. It was like me, and it was me and another black girl that were in our group, and we both felt like every time they had to do a review, they always said that we weren't doing well. And
Wow.
maybe it's possible that we weren't, but we also got a chance to look at what some of the other teachers were doing, and it didn't seem like they were doing anything different than us. So I think we felt like just a little, I don't even know what the word is, but there was definitely some racial tension. And I remember, like, every time we would have meetings, they would be like, get in groups. And I think what it was we felt like they couldn't relate to us. I think that was kind of how we felt. And we would have group meetings, and, one of us would share an idea, and everyone would just ignore us and act like we said nothing. And then someone else would literally say the exact same thing that we said, and everyone would be like, yeah, that's great.
I got
And that's something that I know a lot of Black people experience. I've heard that many times.
Yeah.
But I went on to teach in Houston, Texas. Most of those students that I taught were Hispanic. I had some Black students, but most of them were Hispanic, and they spoke a lot of Spanish.
Okay.
So yeah, I enjoyed teaching, but it was just really, really overwhelming because I had like 6 or 7 different classes. So that means 6 or 7 different sets of students, different sets of personalities, different needs. And I was expected to give homework and grade homework, give assignments, and then you also have to keep them quiet and keep them from, outgoing and getting into trouble.
Yes.
And you have to enter grades into computer programs. So eventually I quit because I was like, this is not for me. And I wanted to just focus on my marriage.
Yes.
So we didn't discuss that part, but
yeah. So how did it feel? How did it feel to be back with your high school boyfriend, and y'all had a history together? Were you happy about that? And was it something you thought it was unique how y'all got back together?
Yeah, I thought it was very unique because before he even called me.
Do you think that would just happen out of the middle of nowhere, or that was another sign?
I think it was definitely another sign because during the time that we were not together and I was trying to get more religious, I prayed that we would come back together but under good terms because before this he was a rapper and he was a really good rapper, but it wasn't the best environment for
rappers usually have groupies, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
They do.
Yeah.
He was good though. He wasn't like that. He wasn't the worst, but it just wasn't the best environment for us to be in a flourishing relationship.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think it had a lot to do with me actually also.
Rapper.
But I just prayed for us to get back together under good terms, and when he called me and came back, I could hear the difference in his voice.
Oh yeah.
I'm very attentive to detail and very observant. So I just noticed he had like a humility in his voice.
So he didn't have what you call like a swag. You didn't hear the swag in it.
Not in this conversation.
Yeah.
Not in that particular conversation. He still has swag, but just it wasn't. I didn't feel like he was trying to say he was.
You could tell he was looking for something different than what he had previously been in. You could just sense that.
I could tell that he wanted to be different. He wanted to be different.
Yeah.
And he wanted us to be better and good. And
would you say that he had given up on his rap, or he wanted to try something else?
At the time, he hadn't given up on rap, but later, the more we got into Islam, I think he felt like he wanted to give it up. But I think it was more so just because he needed to provide for me.
Yeah.
And he needed to put all of his energy into something that would be the most financially stable. And although he had, been paid for his rap, it's not, you can't determine when you're going to, make money and things.
Let me ask you a question, because I'm curious. Now, was he a rapper, or did he have some technical skills, like did he write his lyrics, or he had to have other writers, or could he do things in the studio, or he pretty much had to?
No, he was like an amazing writer. He's a writer and a rapper.
Okay, so he didn't need a ghostwriter. He had the writing skills, he was an artist. He could flow and he could write. He could write and he could flow.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So he wasn't just
and
a
he
rapper.
Had a group. He had a lot of friends that were also
He was more of
rappers.
an MC. He more of an MC than a rapper.
Oh, okay. That's a technical name for it? Okay.
Yeah,
MC,
Yeah, rapper just an entertainer, but you saying he had skills.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
He's the MC.
a rapper just an entertainer, but an MC got lyrics. He has some technical
Yeah,
skills. He can move the crowd, and he can write his own material. A master of
yeah.
ceremony. I mean, he's a skill. He has a skill set.
Okay, yeah, definitely still good.
Well,
He
okay,
he did like very visual, like very. I don't even know how to explain it, but he used to do like a lot of things that you need to use your imagination for, in
okay,
like visuals and stuff.
I got you. Yeah. So,
But
so y'all was doing fine. Y'all was glad to be back together and everything. And
mhm.
were there any kids yet or not?
No, we didn't have kids yet.
Okay,
We had our first child about a year and a half after we got married.
okay. Did that how was that when you how did you feel about having your first kid, and was he excited about it?
Yeah, he was he was excited about it, but I think that it was kind of stressful because we didn't necessarily plan for it.
Okay.
Um, so it was a little. I mean, it was pretty good. It wasn't that bad, but
Yeah.
looking back, like now that I have 3 kids, I see that it wasn't really that difficult. But it's always an adjustment when you have, your first child.
Yeah.
And
So y'all were just enjoying each other, being back together, but then this added another
yeah,
aspect to it, the whole relationship.
yeah,
Yeah, and finances as well, huh?
yeah, because I haven't been working this whole time, so
Yeah.
yeah, that's a lot
Hmm.
um, of pressure on him
Yeah.
individually
Yeah.
to provide.
Right. So y'all went through that period, your first child, and were you um were you at home then, as far as like you wanted to be homeschool your children, or did you once they started getting up, how was it for like how did y'all introduce them to books and learning at a young age? Uh, was there
Well, my
certain
daughter was like, when she was young, she was so smart. Like,
mhm,
she was so smart. Like, she used to do sign language, and she was like really, really young. She talked really, really early, and she's just really smart. Like, I spent a lot of one-on-one time with her because I didn't have any other kids.
mhm.
So we used to read to her, and we used to show her videos on the computer. But yeah, we mostly educated her when she was young through reading and videos.
And she loved stories and she liked to be read to and everything.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Like as I had started having more kids, she really as she grew, she really liked when I tell her stories. Like she liked when I make up stories better than when I just read from a book.
And would she, as she had other brothers and sisters come, would she tell them stories as a big sister?
My middle child actually is the best storyteller of them.
Okay.
He loves to tell stories. So he's 4 now, and she's 6. But she does tell stories, but he's a little bit better, I think.
Well, tell me, how did you get into writing, or one day thinking you might want to write your own book? How did that whole thing come
Um, it's crazy because like everything I've been just with 3 kids and staying home with them, everything is just a blur now, and I'm trying to remember, but I really don't remember an actual moment where I was like, I want to be an author. But it just kind of happened because I was um pregnant with my 3rd child,
about? Okay.
and my daughter was helping me a lot, and that kind of influenced the story. If you get the book, you'll see what I mean.
Mhm.
But I used to
So
tell them
how
stories
how
like a
how
lot
old
of
was she at this time?
she's 2 years she's 4 years older than him, so she was about 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she was
So
she was really helpful while you was pregnant.
yeah, she wasn't really helpful, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
she was helpful in her own way. She tried
Mm-hmm.
to be helpful, and my son was 2, so yeah, she's good. She was really great with him. Like, they never fought. They always played very well together. And she was really helpful in like watching him a lot, actually. But yeah, I just after I had my son, I think I just realized that like, wow, I've been doing this home wife, home school, home mother thing for about 4 years, and I think I want to branch out into doing something else that is, affects people outside of their home.
Okay.
So I think, and I realized, this is how it happened. Actually, now I remember. Whenever I used to go to the library with my kids and look through the books, I was always disappointed. I mean, sometimes I found good books, but a lot of times the books were just so, it just seemed like nobody took time to think about what they were writing about. It just seemed like it was a bunch of ridiculousness. Like, I don't know if other
Like,
parents have felt that.
what's the example of something that kind of discussed?
It's like stories that, I mean, I guess like an example would just be like, you pick up a book and it's just like, Eloise hates her little brother because he's always putting stinky socks on her bed and stuff like that. And it's just like, that's not what I want to teach my children. I don't want to teach them bad things, to be hateful and all this other stuff. Like, I would rather, get stories where they're teaching about bravery or, being honest.
So it didn't tie into anything. It's just like a story told.
Yeah.
It didn't loop back and give a moral
It didn't loop back
a
into
lesson.
anything.
It's just like abstract at random talk.
Yeah, and sometimes it's even bad behavior. Like a lot of books are, I don't think people understand that children don't always understand the underlying message. Sometimes they just understand what's being presented. So if you have a book about a little girl who's very picky and hates to eat her vegetables, but then at the end she realizes, oh, vegetables are good. They might get that message at the end, but they also receive all of the stuff about she doesn't like vegetables and she's picky. So I think that with my books, I try to, everything is positive. There's not any negative, stuff.
And it didn't seem like, from what I'm hearing, you saying it didn't even tell how they came to like the vegetables or what was their discovery of why you need to have them. It just one day they like them out of the middle of nowhere, right?
Well, they might have like, I mean, honestly, I'm thinking of a specific book. It's called D.W. the Picky Eater, and it's from the Arthur series.
Yeah.
And my kids love that book, but it's just but I feel like that it contributed to them being more picky, or feeling like when they're being picky that it's validated because D.W. is picky.
Okay.
So I'm just thinking, how would it be different if instead of D.W. the Picky Eater, the book was like D.W. the Good Eater, and it's just showing her, eating healthy food. And it could still be funny and entertaining, but it's promoting the things that we want in our children, not the bad things.
Right. So you kept seeing this pretty often in the books that you were trying
to find. And I had trouble finding a lot of books featuring African Americans at the library. I would find some, but sometimes the books with African Americans were about being African American. Like, I love my hair because it's this, that, and the third. And that's fine. I like that. But I also was like, there's not enough books that are just, it's a good book, it's a good story, and the people in it are black. Like, that's what I want to do.
Okay. Right.
And I never, ever, ever see dark-skinned people in books or, like, on TV. I noticed that, like, from a child's perspective, they, like, all the cartoons and stuff, whatever they put black people in it, they're very light. And, they have curly hair, and it's like, oh, that's the black person. But they never put black people, really dark people. Like, so I made it a point to put dark people in my book, because it's normal and it's beautiful and it shouldn't be something that's like taboo,
Yeah. And so, but at this time period, still, you wasn't thinking about you might be the creator of a book. You just had this desire that you would like to see that, or you were just noticing the absence of what you wanted your children to see.
Yeah, and then it got to the point where I realized I should do it myself.
Oh, you decided.
Oh, I know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I came up with this. I know what happened. You're actually helping me remember a lot of things.
Okay.
I started making little makeshift books for my kids. Like, I would just type up the words and then cut them out and cut them and glue them onto paper.
Oh, you were
And
making
I would
yourself?
type,
You were actually making
yeah,
them?
and I would type up I would get accompanying pictures like off of YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, off of Google,
Okay.
and I would just like cut it out and paste it with it. And the first book I did was a book about brother and sister, because it was something that my kids were going through, where my daughter would always build something like with Legos or anything, and then her little brother would come by and just knock it over. So the book was basically about, my brother, he's doing all this annoying stuff, but I still love him, and, he will grow out of this phase. So what I did was I went to some of my friends' house who also had children, and I read the book to them, and they really liked it, and their mother really, really, really liked it. So I was like,
So
maybe I
you
should
was
keep
able to
doing
take
this.
what you worked on, but have it from a view that was not your own. That gave you an idea that you might be onto something.
Exactly. Yeah, I think so. So then I did this. I told my story, Fatima Makes the Bread, to one of my friends who homeschools her children,
Mm-hmm.
and they really liked it, and she really liked it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna make this into a real book. So I just typed the book, and it's harder to actually. It's a little bit harder than it might seem, but and then I started working on the illustrations, and that was probably the hardest part because it
Now
took
let
a
me ask
long
you. When you
time.
say you worked on the illustrations, if I'm not mistaken, you're an artist as well, right?
Yeah.
So when you say
Yeah.
you worked on it, you mean you were drawing or painting these what you had in your
Yeah,
head?
I drew them. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I
Oh
drew
wow.
them all out, and I used color pencils. I
Mm.
was like, I'm going to get the best color pencils I can get. And I didn't realize that. So I drew it all out, and I shaded everything. It took, like, forever to, like, shade
Mm-hmm.
everything. And then when I scanned it to try
Yeah.
to
You
make it
lost
into a book,
you
it
lost
didn't
some of it.
come out
It didn't come out.
as good.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what you realized that you should not have done if you knew before? What did you realize about that process?
I think what I realized is
About
I
the
should have put
scanning
less.
and the shading and all that kind of stuff. You should have just did a sketch art, maybe or just a line art, and fill it in
Yeah,
on the
just
computer.
did less. Less
Yeah.
by
So
hand, and then did the rest
you
on
lost
the
some of your
computer.
shading when you did the scanning.
Yeah, but it was still good.
It
It
was
was
a
a good
learning
learning
process. It
experience.
was a learning process. It was better than learning in school or in a book because it stick with you better,
Yeah,
right? You'll never
yeah,
forget that, and
true.
you know how to compensate for that now.
Yeah,
So you got a whole
yep.
different approach now from your future books because I know you got a lot more books in you. You got a whole
Well,
new.
actually, I didn't just leave it like that. Like, when I saw that the shading was messed up, I
Okay.
was like, okay. So I went to a digital artist, and she basically went back in and filled it in
Oh,
on the
she
computer.
she went in and filled okay with the shading. She went in and
Yeah, she like
did
made the colors more vibrant
made
and
them more
shaded it
vibrant.
up.
But
But
what
then
she mm-hmm.
she just went AWOL in the middle of the project.
Hey, wow.
So
Wow,
yeah,
what happened with that? You don't know? Just she just left
well,
you
she
hanging?
was in another country. She was in Venezuela, and
Okay.
she was like, yeah. I was like, I was trying to finish the book, and I was like,
Yeah.
what's going on? She was just like, well, the electricity keeps cutting off here, so I don't think we can help you anymore. So
Oh
I was
wow.
like, okay.
How many
So I
images? How
basically,
many of your images was you working with?
I think she did about half.
How many
So what I
images that were going to be in your book?
in the book,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's about 16.
16. So
Yeah,
she had knocked out about 8 of them or something like
yeah.
that. And you was very happy with what she was doing.
Yeah, I was, because it looked exactly like how I had done it in the beginning. Like, she didn't change it, so I like that. But it looked more professional.
Mm-hmm.
So what I had to do was I had to download my own digital art program, and I just finished the rest. So I
Oh
learned
wow.
a new skill in that too. 'Cause
Yes,
that
yes.
took me a while because I had to figure out how to do that. So
So you
it was
got
fun.
you learn a skill set that you didn't actually have to pay any money or uh go back to school. You learn it on the job, on your own job of
Yeah,
working to produce your
right,
book and create your book.
right.
And how long ago are we looking at? I mean, what time frame are we looking at?
Well, I started this whole process, I think, when my son was about 6 months. So it's been about a year and a half total of the process.
Well, did you get any encouragement from friends and family about your project, or you pretty much just had to be tough within
Well,
yourself?
there were some people that laughed at me at my
Why?
illustrations in the beginning because they just thought it was ridiculous that I would be able to actually make it into a real thing, I think.
You say
But
these were family and friends. They laughed at you in your face, or you kind of like got word from somebody else that.
no, in my face.
Oh,
In
you
my
got
face.
some bold friends. Yeah.
Yeah. But I
I
think
mean,
that
I'm curious. What did they? How did they say? What did they say? Okay, give me a
I don't even
scenario. Give me a
remember.
scenario.
I just remember laughing. I don't remember exactly what
Uh,
they said.
wow, they just shouted.
Oh no,
Yeah,
I know. I think they were just telling me I should get someone else to illustrate it from the beginning. Like I shouldn't even try to do it myself. But that's a big thing about me. Like I like to do things myself.
oh, so they were wasting
So
their time telling you that.
yeah. So they
Okay.
kind of encouraged me because I was like, well, you're gonna see, how it's gonna be. But and then at the same time, there was a lot of family and friends who were very encouraging,
Okay.
and everyone's really encouraging now. So that's good.
Yeah. So let me ask you now. In the process of, okay, we know we got color books and we have black and white books. Was tell me about what you learn about the pricing and in the process of getting your finances to get your books. Was there something that you find out about black and white printing and color printing?
Um, in terms of in
As
terms of the
far as for,
pricing,
yeah, as far as to create a color book
oh, I think
and a
it's less expensive to create a black and white book.
oh yes, yes. So you found that real early.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because all you have to do is like, I mean, it's just a little less expensive. It's
What
less.
did that put a strain on you there? Did that
Oh,
once you
kind
find
of.
out
It
about
didn't put a strain, but it made it take slower because I had to
get the funding for
basically
that? Yeah,
budget.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Are your books are they gonna be were they in hardback or paperback or both?
No, they're on paperback,
Paperback. Hmm.
and
Yeah,
they're available on Amazon.
yeah. Do you have your books? You can order them offline, but do you have books that you keep with you if somebody wanted to get it? Like if you was at a book fair or something like that.
I haven't done that yet, but
You can order your own books as an author, right?
yeah, I can. Yeah, I
Hmm.
can. So yeah, I might start doing that. But
Because
I'm trying to
sometimes
exhaust
people be in the
the
spur of the
internet
moment.
first.
They're like, "Ooh, I want you to sign it."
Yeah,
So what if somebody wanted to
yeah,
sign your book? How did they go? How would they get
yeah.
it
I'm
signed?
gonna start. I'm gonna do something like that where I say, if you want a signed copy, contact me and I will give you a signed copy. It's gonna be more though than the regular price.
Okay. Without giving too much of your book away, can you tell
Hmm.
everybody a little synopsis of your book?
Yes, I can.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my book is called Fatima Makes the Bread, and it's set in Mali, Africa. And it's basically about the backdrop is a very nice family, and it's basically about a young girl whose mother asks her to make the bread all by herself one day because she's not feeling well. And this family usually eats bread every day. So the little girl usually helps her mother make it, but on this one particular day, her mother's not feeling well, so she asks her if she can make it herself. And the little girl goes through a lot of challenges and obstacles that would make some kids just give up. But she decides that she is going to do this for her mother, and she really values, her mother, and she decides to enlist the help of her older brother, and they basically get it done. And in the end, it just shows that, through dedication and working with your family members, you can do great things. And there's some humor in the book as well.
Yes.
Um, yeah.
And what would you say the age is uh, that
This
your
book
reading
is
should?
really honestly like the reviews that I've been getting
Mm-hmm.
are shocking because even adults are liking it. They're
Oh, they
like some
like it.
people don't even have children that have been getting it, and they are just
Oh,
enjoying it for themselves. They're like as a what did they say? It's an emotional encouragement. Like it helps them feel like they can make it through life. If
so
Fatima can do it, they can do it.
so it's
But
available.
yeah, I
It's
would say
available
honestly,
on Amazon. It's available on Amazon, right?
yeah, it is.
Okay.
It's called Fatima Makes the Bread. If you'd like to just search it on Amazon, Fatima is Fatima makes
Yeah.
the bread.
So let me
And
ask you:
so
Do you
for
have
the
it?
age group, I'd say it's for all ages,
Oh,
honestly.
for all ages. So
Yeah,
young and old, they'll get something out of it, and
yeah.
it,
My
it,
daughter is 6, and she can read it by herself. Um, I think it would be great for a 9-year-old. Teenagers might not be interested if they're not interested in reading. But I think from babies, on to age 13, and then adults are really into it too.
have are you planning to introduce it to schools, or or have you, or do you plan to?
I haven't yet. Right now I just released it maybe about a month ago, so I haven't gotten to that yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm definitely open to all the possibilities of trying to get the book to as many readers as possible.
Right. And
And if anyone would like to,
right now it's
if
in
anyone would like to work with me on that, they can contact me as well.
as far as getting it into the schools.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes. Now it's available in paperback, so it's not a. Is it right now? Is it not available in ebook form, or that's something that you plan to do a little later?
I think it is. Like I'm so technologically I'm not the most technologically savvy person,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's definitely available on Kindle.
Oh, it's available
If
on the
that's what you
Kindle and
mean.
the paperback.
Yeah, yeah.
How much is your paperback and how much is your Kindle? Will people know?
Um, I don't actually know how much it is for the Kindle. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry,
but
but
what
the
about the paper?
paperback right now it's listed at $18.99.
18.99. Yes. So do you have any other books in the works right now?
Um, yeah, I do actually. I am working on something right now.
Okay. Yeah. And would it be for the same age or a different age, or like you say you be geared toward children or like adults or what?
Yeah, towards children.
Okay. So that's pretty much you're gonna aim a lot of your books at children now. Do you think you might do anything with those journals later on? Because I'm still thinking about those. Cause I
Yeah, I should. I need to. I would like to do
and
a
you can
memoir. I
actually
think.
you got them where you can actually put your hands on them. They're like
Yeah,
out of pocket. You actually can
yeah,
put your hands on them. And I
yeah.
think if
That's a good idea, honestly.
yeah, I'm
Thank you for
wondering.
bringing that up.
So the last time you actually read through it, how long would you say it's been through some of the two journals you have?
You
Just
said how
even just
long is
browse.
it?
Yeah, how long has it been since you browsed through and read some of the pages or just looked over?
Probably like 6 months or 9 months.
So it's probably some things in that you've forgotten as well, right?
Yeah, probably.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Do you have a website that people can go to, or
No,
you
I
plan to
don't
get, or you might be
actually
getting
have
one
a
soon?
website. I think really the only presence I actually have right now is on Facebook.
Okay.
I'm working to get a website though, and to get different avenues. But if anyone wants to find me on Facebook, my name is Adeola Little, Adeola, last name Little.
Okay. And if somebody want to email you, what's your email? They can email you.
Yeah, my email address is ade underscore little little at yahoo.com.
Yes. Okay. And the name of your book, one more time before we.
It's Fatima Makes the Bread. You can find it on Amazon. Uh, Fatima Fatima makes the bread.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I have a chance to share this interview with my subscription list, and I'm gonna share it on my blog and other social media outlets.
Okay, thank you
And
so much.
we're
I
gonna
had a
have
good
this.
time talking to you.
I'm gonna have this as an MP3, and I'll email you that so you can let people download what we talked about here, because I really wanted people to know about you as a person as well as a writer and an author. And
Thank
I
you. It
wish
was
you the
so
best of luck.
nice.
So I'll hit you a little later on today.
Okay.
And we'll,
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Mr. Turner.
yes, I'm glad talking with you, and we'll
Nice
be in
talking
contact.
to you.
I'll be in contact with you with your
Okay.
MP3. Okay.
Okay, thank you so
All
much.
right. Have a great
All
one.
right, have a good day.
Okay. Bye bye.